Hey everyone, welcome to this tutorial on Zaccheus by Doyle Dykes. First, the usual stuff. The full lesson is split up into several parts and only the first part will be released on YouTube. For full access, you can check out my website or my Patreon page. Both offer different perks at different pricing points, so there should be something for everyone. If you want the tab and notation file, then do head over to the website, look up the song and click on the music notes icon. That way you'll get a 20% discount. No account or login is necessary to do this. So today we have something very special on the menu. Doyle Dykes is truly a terrifying fingerstyle guitarist, but this song is not that difficult to get into your fingers. However, Mr. Dykes introduces a completely unexpected and brand new challenge in the third chorus. You see, this song is in an open tuning, open G to be precise, and that open tuning does most of the work for you. As a matter of fact, you can almost play the entire first chorus with just the index finger and the middle finger in the fretting hand. That allows you to fully focus on the picking hand, on the boom cheek bass pattern, and it makes both the intro and the first two choruses doable, even for novice thumb pick players. You then follow that up in part 2 with a great single note run that is set up as the perfect picking hand exercise. There is also a lot of repetition in this arrangement, and once you can play that first chorus and that single note run, you have over 90% of the song down. But there is a big but in this sentence. Then there is that extra challenge. In part 3, Mr. Dykes alters the tuning from open G to G minor while playing the song. This is a major difficulty spike. I do give you an alternative approach in which you can avoid that retune, but go ahead and at least try it. It's just so much fun to do, and it will turn heads as soon as you get it right. Just like everything else, it's a matter of practice. I also want to mention that Doyle Dykes has his own free lesson online on YouTube, so once you can figure out the details with this first part, maybe you don't even need access to the website and you can work it all out from his lesson. So anyway, whatever happens, let's dive in. Okay, so let's dive straight in. So we start out with an open G tuning. You drop down the low E string a full step to a D. You drop down the low A string a full step to a G, and you drop down the top E string a full step to a D as well. Now, throughout the tutorial, I will keep referring to these strings as the E string, A string and high E string, just because we're used to calling them that. It's going to be easiest for everybody. Apart from that, I'm using a thumb pick. Doyle Dykes is doing the same thing. Doyle Dykes also plays with long fingernails. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use flesh fingertips. It's also possible to leave out the thumb pick, although you might want to drop down the tempo a little bit more. And dropping down the tempo is something that I'm going to do for the first playthrough of each part. So here we go through the roughly 4-bar intro. And that's all, just those 4 bars with a very big upbeat. You start with 2 open strings, open B string, open E string, then to the G string, with the thumb pick, and then you add the index finger to the first fret on the B string. You shift that up to the 2nd fret, and then you add the middle finger to the 3rd fret, all on the B string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. You end up with the middle finger on the 3rd fret on the B string. You keep the index finger on the 2nd fret on the B string as well. You remove the middle finger. You hammer on with the middle finger back to the 3rd fret, and then you re-pick that with the thumb pick. 2, 3, and to an open E string on top. 2, 3, 4. The 4th beat is just bass note on the G string, again with the thumb pick and the middle finger back to the open E string on top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. On the first beat of the next bar, the same thing, G string to the open E string, and then we're basically going to do the same thing 2 more times with just a very small variation the very last time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. All the way up to the third beat, it's the exact same thing. Then middle finger and index finger jump over to the G string, third fret. You plug that third fret, you pull off to the second fret and then to an open G string. Repick the open G string and an open B string, and that basically concludes the intro. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. All the way at the end. Open A string, open E string, index finger, second fret on the E string, and then pinky or ring finger, whatever you want to use, on the fourth fret on the E string, ending back up on an open A string, and that is the first bass note of the first chorus. So that is everything for the intro. The timing is peculiar, so make sure that you know exactly where each beat needs to land. But apart from that, as I told you, it's not that difficult to play. So one more time through the whole thing with the magnet on the guitar so you can have a good look at what the picking hand is doing. Here we go. So that was the intro. Now let's dive into the first chorus. It's a 16-bar section. Once you can play this, you can basically play the whole song minus some very small variations. So this is what it sounds like. Chorus 1, well below the original speed. That is all. I told you it's not hard to play. You can almost play that entire first chorus with just using the index finger and the middle finger. There's just one spot where you have to use the ring finger and the pinky at the same time. That's all there is to it. So you start with an open A string, an open B string, an open E string, and you hammer on with the index finger to the first fret on the B string and with the middle finger to the second fret on the high E string as an embellishment, really quickly. 1 to the D string, and then you remove everything as you head over to the low E string. Nothing but open strings, low E string, B string, high E string. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to the D string, then index finger and middle finger. Index finger, second fret on the B string, middle finger, third fret on the G string. You're going to use this small chord shape a lot in this song. Same thing together with the bass note on the A string. 1, 2, and 2 open strings again. So together, bass note on the D string and 2 open strings on top, B string and a high E string. 1, 2, 3, just the G string in between the low E string bass note and the D string bass note, and you've already rounded out that bar as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That throwaway note on the G string there is something that Doyle Dykes basically does whenever he has the chance. So that's the only fill you're going to see throughout this song. Whenever you have a longer chord in the beginning of the bar, he's going to play that G string by the end of the bar as well. Those first 2 bars back to back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Back to the same chord shape as in the first bar. No hammer on now, but we're going to pull off to 2 open strings. 1, 2. Straight 8th notes. 1 and 2 to the D string. Drop down the same chord shape. Second fret, third fret on the G string and B string, low E string, and you repick again, 2 open strings on top before heading to the D string. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Nothing but open strings, A string, G string, B string, and you just round out that bar, the full bass part. And I just told you, if you have a longer chord, 1, 2, 3, 4. Doyle Dykes is going to play that open G string in the middle there. Now, the picking pattern that you've played now in that previous bar, in the third bar, you pluck a double stop with first bass note together. For this moment, I'm just going to leave out that one pull-off because it's all about the picking hand. So together with the first bass note, second bass note, another double stop in between the second and third bass note, and another double stop in between the third and fourth bass note. So together, between, and then most of the time together again in the first bar, first beat of the next bar. That is a picking pattern that you're going to use a lot in this song. Together, in between, and together again. So make sure, I'm going to point back to this bar quite a lot. You're going to have to play that picking pattern almost throughout the entire tune. That being said, those first 4 bars all the way through. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next 4 bars. Nothing new here, those first 2 bars is the exact same thing. Now already a first variation, instead of going for the pull-off straight away, Doyle Dykes also sometimes plays a hammer-on and a pull-off right behind each other. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That bar, apart from the hammer-on, is again the exact same thing as you learned in the first 4 bars. So one more time, just with a pull-off. Now with the hammer-on. That's the only difference. If you think the hammer-on is a bit too tricky, then just play the pull-off again. And in the last bar here, we're going to go for a small bar on the 3rd fret, giving you a G dominant chord, open A string with that bar on the B string and E string. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's that open G string again after a longer chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. You pluck a double stop 4th fret on the G string and B string, but you do this by putting down a full bar across all 6 strings straight away, and you're going to play the low E string bass note, the A string bass note, as you slide up to the 5th fret. That is the first chord of the next 4 bars. Before we do that, these 4 bars all the way through. A hammer-on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Maybe just for good measure, those first 8 bars all the way through the whole section, just relying on those open strings for the G chord. Ending up on the 4th fret. These next 4 bars is all with a full bar across all 6 strings on the 4th fret. You slide up, bass note on the A string as you arrive on the 5th fret, and then you plug the D string, B string and high E string at the same time. 1, 2, 3 to the low E string, pluck another double stop, G string and B string, and back to the D string. 1, 2, 3, 4, and now our picking pattern again on the beat. See, the exact same move. You start with the A string, B string, high E string, on the beat together to the D string. Here you drop down the ring finger and the pinky 7th fret on the G string and B string, plug that to the low E string, remove those 2 fingers, plug the G string and B string on the bar 5th fret, and back to the D string. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is that exact same picking pattern that I mentioned before. Those 2 bars on the C chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Open A string, open B string, open G string. We know that fingering, 3rd fret, 2nd fret, and again the same picking pattern together between the bass note, and back to all open strings. And then A string, G string, B string at the same time. D string, repick, open G string, open B string, and hammer on with the index finger to the first fret and with the middle finger to the second fret, index finger on the B string, middle finger on the G string. As you play the bass note on the low E string. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what happens. Together, bass note, hammer on together with the bass note on the low E string, and then I think Doyle Dykes plays 2 open strings, which means that he lets go of the chord shape. It's also possible that he just plays an open E string on top, and if you do that, you can let the chord shape sit on the guitar. 1, 2, 3, 4, because in the next bar you're going to need that chord shape again. So I'm probably going to play it like this. And I can just let that chord shape sit on the guitar. Again, those 4 bars all the way through. 3, 4, 1. Next 4 bars you start by repicking that chord shape, low E string, G string, B string, B string and G string still second fret and first fret. 1, 2 to the D string, repick that double stop and slide up 2 frets as you play another low E string bass note. 1, 2, 3, and back to that open E string on top before landing on the D string. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that slide exact eighth notes again. This is not an embellishment, not a quick slide. You have 1 and 2 and 3 in time. And now we move that chord shape down. And that's all that happens. So you start on that 3rd fret, 4th fret, you drop down on the 1st beat to 2nd fret, 3rd fret again. This is going to sound a little tense. 1, 2, drop down, 3, 4, and then ending up on all open strings, A string, G string, B string, D string. So these are big chords, 4 strings at the same time. So low E string, G string, B string, high E string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Index finger 2nd fret on the G string, hammer on to the 3rd fret as you play the bass note on the low E string. 1, 2, 3, to an open B string, landing on the D string, and again, open strings, open A string, open G string, and then we initiate the same bass drum that we did in the beginning of this section. So those last 2 bars on the G chord, one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and ready to dive into chorus 2. So getting that slide in those final 4 bars in the right spot and getting that hammer on in the right spot, lining that out with the bass note, that is going to be probably the trickiest section so far. So let me play those last 4 bars all the way through one more time. Those last 8 bars all the way through, we're basically done with 50% of the tune already. So the last 8 bars with that slide into the C chord. 3, 4. That was chorus 1. Let me play through the whole thing one more time. with a magnet on the guitar, so you can again look at what the picking hand is doing. But I hope you agree that most of this is pretty easy stuff. The tuning is doing a lot of the work. So here we go all the way through chorus 1. So that was all pretty smooth sailing. So I'm just going to add chorus 2 as well. It's in the same key. There is no key change yet. We're staying in the key of G. And we're just going to add a few small variations. But most of this is stuff that you already know. And 90% of that is stuff that you can already play. Very small variation in the first 4 bars. You start with the exact same thing. And now you put down the middle finger on the 3rd fret on the B string and the ring finger on the 3rd fret on the high E string. And you prepare the index finger on the 2nd fret on the high E string. You play that double stop together with the bass note on the A string. And you pull off with the ring finger to the 2nd fret. 1, 2, and then that full unit after the pull off, D string bass note, and that just jumps over to the G string and B string, back to our already familiar chord shape. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Everything else you know, there's no difference for the rest. Then in the next 4 bars, things are quite different. You're going to slide up with the middle finger from the 7th fret to the 9th fret, and with the index finger from the 6th fret to the 8th fret. 1, 2, you start together with the bass note on the open A string, D string, and back to our starting point, 6th fret and 7th fret. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to go back up, and you're going to hammer on with the ring finger to the 10th fret on the high E string and pull straight back off. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now the same pull-off trick all the way down. You head back up to the 9th fret and 8th fret. Same thing on the 7th fret. Now you're hammering on from the 7th fret on the high E string to the 9th fret and you pull back off. So 1, 2, 3, 4, bar on the 5th fret together with an open A string. And the same hammer on and pull off from the 5th fret to the 7th fret, D string, and you drop down 2 more frets to the 3rd fret and finish up with an open D bass string. So those last 2 bars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and then you slide back into the C chord, 5th fret. The last 8 bars is the exact same thing as the first time around. So maybe those first 8 bars all the way through with those variations included. Next 8 bars, exactly the same thing. But that was chorus 2. Not that much new stuff is going on here. So let me slap on the magnet one more time for a good look at the picking hand, and then we can close down this first part of the tutorial. Here we go. you can now play the intro, chorus 1 and chorus 2. For people watching on YouTube, now it's time to switch over to my Patreon page or my website for full access to the rest of the lesson. I'll see you there. Take care. Bye bye.